All right, guys, we are live today from Norman, Oklahoma. Norman, Oklahoma, and yes, it was a crazy thunderstorm. Sorry for getting started a little late. Let me just get the camera all set up. We actually lost power here at the library, and my shirt is a regular red, not a dark red, but we were soaked today. Guys, today is Wednesday, November 8th. Today is the day we're going to go over the real estate sales training on 4 different parts, one training on the hour, every hour. We won't miss the next hour's start point. So we're going to go through 30 minutes of information, and then we're going to go through 15 minutes of Q&A, and then we're going to take a 15-minute break. So you can jump on your phones, handle any quick business things that you have to, but you absolutely want to enjoy today's training and everything that's going on. Perfect. The audio check is great. So I'm going to put my phone face down. I'm going to share the presentation with you, and we're going to get into it today. Put any comments, put any questions in the comments. I want to see those. That way I can get them answered throughout today's training. Okay, here we go. And there it is. All right. So, oops, let me back up real quick. Okay, today on this first part of the class, we're going to talk about how you find listings, how you market listings, and how you close listings. Okay, that's what the first part of today's class is about. So if you're a real estate agent and you want to learn more about sales and learn more about listings, that is what today's class is about. So as always, I have to tell you what gives me the ability to tell you some of the things that I've done in the past. That way, what works for me might also work for you. So first off, it's all about God blessing me. It's about my amazing wife at home, and it's about all the amazing agents that I work with, guys. None of this would be possible without any one of those people. And I just want to put that out there right away. I'm just a regular guy. I would totally suck at real estate if it wasn't for God, my wife, and my team. So what have I done over the last 15 years? Well, over the last 15 years, guys, I have had the blessings of closing 600 deals that I personally manage, 600 deals that I personally manage. And I've also been a part of over 1,400 deals over the last 15 years. And it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot to me, but I'm telling you, if I can do it, you guys can do it too. Without my team members, I would not have the numbers that I have at all. I've also experienced small mom and pop brokerages. I've experienced large independent brokerages. I've had my own brokerage. And then I've also been at a Realty franchise brokerage before. So I've been around the block. I know a lot of different brokerage models. And then, of course, Oklahoma requires me to disclose that I am at eXp Realty now. That's where I currently am. And I do practice real estate. So full disclosure on that. So also over the last 15 years, I have also built 2 duplexes, which I don't recommend to anyone. I don't recommend trying to build houses unless that's the business you want to do. And then I've also managed 72 rental properties, which I can't recommend that to anyone too. That's just not my personality. This presentation is all about what's been good and successful for me and where I find my strengths. And hopefully you can get some nuggets out of this presentation and apply it to your business too. Now, full disclosure, if you don't like anything, if you don't learn anything in today's class, I will definitely reimburse you the cost of the class. It's free. It's free, guys. Come on. Lighten up a little bit. This is so fun. So the main thing about all this is if I can do it, guys, a short, fat, bald guy, if I can do it, you could totally do it too. The main reason why is you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. If someone wants to sell their home and they already know, like, and trust you, you're their person. You're their guy. You're their gal. You're the person they're going to go to. So if all that makes sense, great. If not, put the questions down in the comments below. I am keeping an eye on those questions. Let me go over to the next one. All right. So biggest thing, when sellers call you, like I just said, when sellers call you, they already know, like, and trust you. They already want to sell their home. When they call you, you would have to work hard to screw it up. You would literally have to say all the wrong things to screw it up, because if you go to the grocery store, you're going there to buy groceries. If you go to the car lot to look at cars, you have a need, you have a want, you have a desire to buy a new car. This is sales, folks. I don't care what people tell you. Yes, all sales are relationship business, but you're in sales. So when people call you, there's a need, a want, or a desire to do something. And we're specifically talking about sellers right now. Okay. So all you got to do when they make that call is affirm what they want to do, give them your approval, tell them you got the systems to make it happen, and then the systems, if you don't have those, that's what I'm getting ready to go over in today's presentation. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm doing this at the Norman Library, so bear with me, folks. Okay, so how do you find listings? Okay, so how do you get people to call you for listings? You know, stuff like that. I need to fix that word. I didn't mean to put that up there. So the way you find listings, well, I guess I got to go back. So, okay, so listings find you and you find listings. So the way that you find listings to get business from is simple. You're going to be active on social media. So number one, social media, easiest way to find listings. Okay. A lot of people will say FSBOs and expireds and stuff like that. And that's a good way too. I'm going to tell you what I know. I'm going to tell you how I do things. So on social media, you've got to be social on social media. Okay. Don't just sit there mindlessly browsing what's in your feed. I want you to also be able to go to your friends link. Okay, so go ahead and get your cell phones right now. Get your cell phones. Go over to your Facebook app real quick. I'll show you exactly how I'm social on social media. Go to your Facebook app, open it up, go over to the menu button, hit the menu button, then up at the top, you're going to see your name. Click on your name, okay? And then scroll down. You're doing this on your cell phone. Scroll down, and what you're going to do is you're going to see all friends. And then when you see all friends, up at the very top on your cell phone, it says search friends. So all you have to do in that case is just put the letter A. And then it's going to pop up all of your friends that are on the letter A. And then you just go through each one of those friends, open one up, look at their most recent post. If there's anything you like it. If they went vacationing somewhere, comment on it. Oh my gosh, that was such a cool place. Did you enjoy it? Would you go back? Be social on social media. You know, that's why people put those pictures out there. That's why they do it. You know, social media wants you to interact with your friends. They want you to be social on social media. So just use the systems they already have. And then be sure to post at least twice a day. Post about, you know, if the grocery store is having a great discount on yams. Post something about the yam discount, or if gas prices are killing you, post something about gas prices. You will definitely relate to people posting about gas prices, I promise you. So that's the first way to find listings. The second way to find listings is more of a farming strategy. Listings is more of a technique to just stay in touch with people. You're going to send postcards to your sphere of influence at least 4 times a year. At least 4 times a year. And it's just going to talk about some of your just listed, just solds, or it's going to talk about some of the benefits of selling your house now rather than later. You know, wherever you're at, your brokerage should have some sort of marketing plan for you that you simply have to upload your list to, and then they send out the postcards. You should easily be able to do that at any brokerage you're at. If you're not, there's other ways to do it. Just give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and I'd be happy to go over that with you later on after this class. So those are 2 different ways to find listings. And then you've got the age-old, you know, call the FSBOs, call the expireds. There's tons of videos on that on social media on how to do that if that's your cup of tea. If it's not your cup of tea, you can definitely get business from your friends that are already in your friends list off of Facebook. If you have 600 friends, theoretically, you should have 6% to 10% of those friends doing a transaction every year. So there is a ton of business just right there in your friends list. And then, of course, making videos about the frequently asked questions about the listing process is a great way to provide content that's valuable to consumers too. So things like how to stage your home, how to do the curb appeal on your home, what to do to your home before you sell it. You know, those are different examples of things you could do to put content out there that add value to sellers when they get ready to sell their home. And if you're adding value and they're watching you and you're interacting with them on social media, who do you think they're going to call when they want to sell? They're going to call you. They're going to call you. So that is how you get listings. Put the comments down below if you've got some other ways to get listings too. I would love to hear how you guys come across listings, but those are 5 tried and true ways to get business on the listing side of things. So let me go ahead and go over here. So when the seller calls in, okay, this is a very, very important phone call. When the seller calls in, you got to ask them 5 basic questions. And I've done lots of videos on this in the past. So we're not going to go into the questions in detail. We're just going to go over what those 5 videos are right now. You can watch one of my other videos about what the questions in detail on the channel. Just search 5 seller questions and I go into detail on it. But the first one is, so these are in no particular order. The first one is, can you tell me a little bit about your house? And then just let them talk. Just let them tell you things. And then when they get done, say, thank you so much. That's a ton of information. I wrote down these highlights, and repeat back to them what they said. Let them know you're listening. And then ask them, when are you thinking about wanting to move? It usually takes 45 days to 60 days to get a house completely listed, marketed, and closed. Is 45 days to 60 days the timeline that you're thinking about? So ask them their timeline. That'll let you know the urgency on the move situation. Okay. Ask them, I look at houses every day. I'm valuing houses every day. Do you know what you are wanting to get out of your house already before I run the numbers? Ask them what they think it's worth. They're going to already have researched it most likely. They're already have gone to different websites like your own personal website, maybe filled out how much is my home worth. You know, they may already have that information. And that's going to give you a good idea on how realistic they are to the market, because you as an agent are going to put together the professional listing packet and you're going to email it to them that evening or first thing the next morning to go over with them in person the actual market value. And and the reason you ask them that first question, can you tell me a little bit about your home, is you want to know how to really, really compare their home to the homes on the market that have sold in their neighborhood or in their school district. So we talked about, tell me a little bit about your house. What's your timeline on selling? And we talked about the third question, what do you want to get out of it? Another question you need to absolutely know is, do you own the home free without mortgage, or do you currently have a mortgage on it? And if you do, what's the payoff? You want to find out the payoff so you can focus on the net to seller. The walkaway money is the most important thing. Their sales price might be not realistic compared to the market, but showing them what their check is at closing, that's going to be more important than the sales price. Unless they're like some weird ego seller and they don't really care about what they walk away with. They just want to be like, I set the comp for the neighborhood, which you can handle that objection too. You just, we'll give it 2 weeks at that price. If we don't get it, we got to pull it down the market. We got to pull it down the market. And if they agree to you, then perfect. Take the listing, market it, put all your effort into it for that first 2 weeks. That way, when you have that conversation, you're like, look, I've done everything and more for your house over the last 2 weeks. We got to pull it down the market. We haven't gotten an offer. And in 2 weeks, we usually get an offer if you're marketing a house properly and if it's priced properly. So, keep that in mind. And remember, this is what works for me. I'm just telling you what works for me. You create your own workflow, you create your own business, but this is what works for me. And you don't want to miss out on that listing, because people are reasonable 99% of the time. 1% of the time you get those unreasonable people, but 99% of the time they are reasonable. They're like, okay, yeah, I know, we tried, it didn't work out. And then you also want to ask them, what's the best email to send over the valuation packet that I put together on it? And would you say your home would be ready for a photo shoot on Thursday or Friday, or next Tuesday or Wednesday? Try to book that photo shoot. If you book that photo shoot, then it's game on, guys. They want to list their house. They want to make it happen. So that's the final question. I believe that was all 5 questions. Just rewind the video and rewatch what those 5 questions were. Okay, so let me try to rephrase it real quick for you. Tell me a little bit about your house, and then repeat back to them. Find out what those details are. Find out what the age of the roof is too. Hey, do you remember the age of the roof by chance? Have you done any major remodels? Have you put in new appliances, redone the kitchen countertops, et cetera, et cetera? Like, go a little deep on that question. There's videos that I've made on that in the past. Go watch those. It'll really get you into details on those. And then what's your timeline for moving? If we list your house next week and then we go through a contract, you could be moving in as early as 60 days. Is that all right? And then the next one is what's your current payoff on the home? Is that what it was? What's your current payoff on the home? And then what's the best email to send the valuation report to? And is your home ready for a photo shoot next week? There was one more question in there. Rewind it and listen to it. I'm going through this a little quick because we started a little late because of the thunderstorm. So I don't want to waste your time, and I want to keep you guys on schedule. So those are the seller qualifying questions, and everything, this whole outline, guys, this whole presentation, it's about the system of the listing. It's about the process of the listing. So I'm walking you through how to get listings, how to qualify listings, how to market listings, how to contract them. I'm marking you through the system. If you know the system for something, if you know how to get from point A to point B, you're not going to get lost. And that's what this presentation is all about. So if you're an experienced agent, if you're a broker owner, a team leader, or a new agent, this may have benefits in it for you no matter who you are. So bear with me if some of this stuff you already know. I'm not trying to waste your time. I'm just putting out the information on how to get from point A to point B that I've successfully used in the past to do that. So, okay, so next one. After that initial question, you got to do the valuation report, you got to do the estimated net to seller, and you got to book the photo shoot appointment. Okay, that's key. If you couldn't book the photo shoot appointment on that first initial phone call, when you send them the valuation report, when you send them the estimated net to seller, that's going to be one PDF. You're going to be sending them that to them, emailing it to them, texting them saying, hey, I just sent over the valuation report. You know, the numbers are right in line with what you talked about. Have you ever thought about getting your real estate license? Comma, ha, 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 ha. Super excited to do this. Thank you so much for your business. What's the best time to call and discuss this? And then you also shoot them a text too that says the same thing. And the estimated net to seller, that each state's different. In Oklahoma, we have to do an estimated net to seller, and I use that as a tool. I use that as a way to ensure that sellers see right away the sales price and their walkaway money. I use that as a tool because that is what I focus on right away. Hey, I put together a valuation report. I emailed it over. I text it to you. When's a good time to talk? They respond back. If they don't respond back, don't worry. They might be at work or something. Call them in 2 hours. Just go ahead and call them in 2 hours. Hey, I don't know if you saw my email or text, but I wanted to go over this valuation report with you. I'm super excited. And then if they took the call, you book the photo shoot. You go over the valuation report and book the photo shoot. And then if they're like, well, don't you need to see the house first? And then if they say that, if a seller ever asks you, do you need to see the house first? There's two things going on in that seller's mind. One, they're a little insecure about their house, which is okay. That's okay. People get insecure. Or two, it's not as nice as they might have told you it was on the phone. Okay? So if they ever say that, you say, you know what? I'd love to. If you don't think it's photo shoot ready, I would love to come look at it. We could talk about what we're going to declutter. We're going to talk about what we're going to do to get it photo shoot ready. We're going to make that happen. Does that sound good? They're going to say, yes, perfect. House tomorrow at 1 or house tonight at 4 o'clock. You know, book that appointment immediately. Get over there, get that out of the way. And if you're not available, you know, if you're in Cancun or the Caribbean islands or something, yes, absolutely. I can get one of my coworkers over there. I'm actually out of the state currently, but I can get one of my coworkers over there tomorrow around 4 o'clock. Does that sound good to you? And then just book the appointment and then get on the phone, talk to your teammates, talk to your coworkers, get someone over there, okay, to look at the house. So not a big deal. Okay, does that make sense? Valuation, estimated net, photo shoot. Okay, you guys with me? Give me a thumbs up if you are. Give me a thumbs up if you're liking this content. Give it 2 thumbs down if you think it's stupid. Two, not just one. Hit it twice. Let them know that you hate it. Okay, so let me go over here to the next slide. All right, it's game time. When you show up for that photo shoot, this is my typical first time at the property. Okay, I haven't been there yet. I've been doing it all over the phone, all over email, all over text messages. You show up and you love on that house. You love on it. This is that person's most of the time biggest asset. This is that person's most of the time biggest transaction they're going to do. You treat that transaction and that house with respect. Even if it's a house that you might feel isn't up to what your livable standards are, you treat that house like amazing. You don't sugarcoat it, you don't overdo it, but you treat that house with respect and you thank them for the time. And you better take your shoes off when you walk in that house. Even if they say, oh my gosh, you don't have to do that. We never do that. You do it. You respect them. You take your shoes off when you go in that house. And then you show up 30 minutes early before the photographer and make sure they know you're going to show up 30 minutes early before the photographer, and you make sure that house is ready. Like if there's some furniture you got to move, roll up those sleeves and move that furniture. Get that house ready. If there's some trash cans that are going to be in the exterior photo shoot, get them out of the way. Get them out of the way. And if you're working with teammates and stuff like this and stuff like that, you've already gone over those things with them. They've shadowed you on a couple listing appointments, so they're going to be handling the same thing. Make sure your team does the same level of service that you do, because your level of service is, and your relationship is what's earned that business. So make sure your team is always mirroring the same actions that you do. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, get the house ready. Photographer shows up. Introduce the photographer. Introduce the photographer. Give them the credit. Give them the kudos that they deserve to the seller. Because guys, come on, let's be honest. You think a house, the exact same house in a regular market, not a COVID market, but the exact same house with an iPhone or an Android camera shot compared to a professional real estate photographer shot, which house do you think is going to sell quicker? Which house? Not in the COVID market, okay? In a regular market, a market that, pre 2 years ago, what house is going to sell quicker? What house is going to get more online views? What house is going to get more foot traffic, showings, et cetera, et cetera? Come on, hire the professional photographer. If your broker isn't really requiring you to do stuff like that, up your game. It's a representation of your business. It's a representation of yourself. Up your game for those professional photography shots, okay? Once the photographer's done, go get the sign the yard, go get the lockbox on the door. Sign the yard, lockbox on the door, and let the seller know if they're there during the photo shoot, let them know, hey, can I get a spare key for the lockbox? And then and then I'm getting ready to shoot the videos. Would it be okay if you take the dog down to the neighborhood park? Or would it be okay if you go hang out in your car for about 30 minutes while I shoot the video on the house? Because the video is very important, folks. It is very important. And you're going to shoot two of them. You're going to shoot two of them. You're going to do a 360 walkthrough. You can pick up a 360 camera. I'm sorry to say, but the least expensive one is around $400, guys. So it's a little bit of an investment, but it's an investment in your business. And I'm telling you, on social media, those 360 videos get a ton of traffic because you are literally showing the home to customers anywhere in the world. Those 360 cameras, you can pause them, you can move them around and look at the whole house as you're walking them through the home and you're showing the home. You're treating the camera like a buyer as you're walking them through the home. It's that simple. Hey, folks, I'm so excited to show you this house today. It's located in such and such city. It's less than 3 miles from the interstate interchange. It's less than 2 miles from the local super Walmart. It's less than a mile from the local Christian college. Guys, this is the location and this is the house you've been looking for. I absolutely believe it. And by the end of this video, you're going to believe it too. So if that is something you want to see today, and that's why you're looking at this video, you're in the right place. Stick around. Let's go look at this house together. Okay, the intro is real simple. Talk about the location to 3 different things, and then tell them they're getting ready to watch the right video. That's as simple as it is. And then show them the house just like you would show them the buyer. Guys, I love this curb appeal. Guys, the entryway to this door are amazing. Blocka, 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 all the way through the house. Take your level of showmanship up 2.5 points. One of Tom Ferry's guys say that all the time. Take your level of showmanship up 2.5 points when you're doing those walkthroughs. And I've been doing that forever. And when he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Like Lamar says, don't take my word for it. And here's some other people's words for it. Okay? All right, guys. If you guys know what that is referring to, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. All right, let's go to the next one. Any questions on that? Put them down in the comments below. Okay, perfect. Let's go to the next one. Okay, marketing. It's not the MLS. Don't be one of those 4 Ps of marketing real estate agents, guys. Don't be my podium keeps moving. Don't be one of those 4 Ps of marketing. It's not about put a sign in the ground, put it in the MLS, and pray. God handles everything. Don't get me wrong, 100% all about God. But don't say the 3 Ps of marketing. Put a sign in the ground, put it in the MLS, and then pray. That's not it. No, you take that 360 video, you put it on all your social media platforms. When the tricky part about Facebook, though, is I don't think it can be larger than 15 gigs. So that's about a 10-minute walkthrough. So role play the walkthrough first to make sure you keep it under 10 minutes. That's very important when you're putting it on Facebook. YouTube, I've never hit. I've had 20-minute walkthroughs on YouTube before, and it takes it right away. So, but you're going to put it in the MLS. You're going to do all that, but you're also going to do those video walkthroughs. You're going to be putting them on your social media channels. You're going to be sharing them on the Facebook garage sale pages. You're going to be sharing the property to Craigslist. You're going to be putting up a carousel ad on the property. You're going to be putting up a post of just a bunch of pictures of the property. You're going to be posting this property everywhere on your social media platforms. You're not just putting a sign in the ground, putting it on the market and praying. That's not it at all. You're a marketer. You are a salesman or a saleswoman. You go out there and market the property. Put those plastic for sale signs up all over the neighborhood. Even if the HOA is going to get mad at you, put them up and let them be up. Okay, wait, let me take that back. I don't want to promote things you're not supposed to do. But if you put all those signs up and it's not a neighborhood you've ever been in and you don't know the HOAs get ready to jump on your rear about putting all those signs up, then you didn't know. Ignorance doesn't take you away from breaking the rules, but your job is to sell a house. And if an HOA has a problem with you putting for sale signs up all over, I think that HOA is kind of mental, but that's just me. And the homeowner should definitely fix that HOA, but put the signs up everywhere. At least get a couple days traffic on it, because buyers are driving around right now hunting houses. So putting up signs all over neighborhoods is a huge plus. Putting it up all over social media, sharing it in all the Facebook garage sale page groups, the real estate groups, et cetera, go out there and promote the poop out of that property, okay? Go market. Presentation will not have that happen. Okay, so you marketed the property, okay? It's online. You're going to start allowing showings, and you're going to start accepting contracts, okay? It's pretty straightforward. If your MLS has software that allows the seller, if they're living at the home, if it's not a vacant home, if your MLS has software that allows the seller to confirm the showings, do that. Don't be a bottleneck in your business. Don't be a bottleneck in getting that house sold. Don't be a control freak. Let the software and the seller confirm the showings. If it's a vacant home on the listing presentation, let the seller know it's going to be automatic showings. So if you're ever going to be at the property, you've got to let me know you're going to be there so I can block off to make sure no showings happen while you're at the property. So that is the showings and the contracts part of the presentation. And then I'm put any comments or questions down and below. The main part is let the MLS software book the showing for you. Okay, inspections, financing, and title. Okay, once you get under contract, once you've looked at all the contracts, the sellers pick the contract that gives them the best day to close, the most amount in their money, in their pocket that they want, and meets all the requirements that they want. Now you're going to start the inspections, the financing, and the title work. Tell the seller, hey, now title's going to be working on your part, and then the buyer is going to have people coming to the house. Okay, always prep the seller for the next step. That way they never feel like they don't know what's going on. Make sure the seller knows that sometimes the title company sends surveyors over and doesn't necessarily tell anyone when they do that. That way they don't run off the surveyor. You don't want a seller to run off a surveyor. The surveyor needs to get there and do the surveying. If the buyer is going to have the roof inspected, make sure the seller knows and the buyer's agent tells you, the selling agent, the buyer's agent is called the selling agent in Oklahoma, make sure that they tell you when the roofer is going to be there. That way the seller's not caught off guard, especially if they work from home and having someone climb all over their roof. Prep sellers for the next step, especially once you go under contract, because a seller has to be very vulnerable. A seller has to be very open during the due diligence period, during the inspections, investigations, and reviews. The buyer needs to know what they're buying. Look at Elon Musk. Look at what's going on with Twitter. He's saying, they're not telling me everything. I don't want to buy it. The same thing happens with a house. If the buyer can't get all their questions answered on the home, they're not going to buy it. They'll cancel the contract. And the seller can't stop the buyer from doing all that according to the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission. Verify with your state brokers, what the procedures are in your state. but the buyer has the right to inspect everything on that house during the inspection time, and the seller can't stop him. Now, tell the seller, we're not going to let people show up at midnight. We're not going to let people show up at 6 a.m. in the morning. Typically, sometimes they do need that because they got to be at work by 8, and that's the only time they got to be there. But we're going to try to make it a nice cohesive transaction, but the seller has to let the buyer do the inspection. So prep them for that. And remind the seller too, they're going to have people coming through the house, the inspectors, the termite inspectors, possibly the roofer if there's a question on the decking on the roof. And then also the appraiser is going to need to come through the house and take pictures that the inside of the house matches what's online. That way the banker's like, yeah, I'll give you this fake government money that we just magically make out of thin air and take your debt for it. I know. I shouldn't have gone there. And then at the same time too, the title company is making sure the title is good to the property so that the seller can give the buyer good title to the property. So prep the seller. As long as you prep your sellers, as long as you tell them what the next steps are, everything happens so much more seamlessly. It happens so much easier. Okay. Any questions on that? Put them in the comments. I am monitoring the comments. And let's go to the next slide. Okay. So after the buyer does all the inspections in the Oklahoma real estate contract, they have two options. One, don't like it. I'm leaving. I'm out. Give me my earnest money back. Or two, here's the TRR. And the TRR can say infinite numbers of things on it. But the contract says it has to have to do with material defects affecting the value of the property. But sometimes people put things on there that aren't a material defect. But who am I to say that? That's for a judge to say in a court of law. Well, actually mediation in Oklahoma. So if they submit a TRR, the seller can look at those items and say, okay, I agree to that. Or they say, I agree to those 3, but not those other 2. It's a back and forth. And you've got 7 days to figure that out in the state of Oklahoma. Verify with your state contract and your broker what it says in your state. But in Oklahoma, you got 7 days to work that out unless they put a different number in the fill in the blank part. If something can't be worked out in 7 days, and you're telling this to your seller, you're prepping them. If something can't be worked out in 7 days, then the contract is invalid. It says it on there, the last sentence. If an agreement's not reached within 7 days, then the contract becomes invalid and the buyer gets earnest money back. So both parties are kind of holding each other accountable by that timeline. Because if an agreement's not reached, you don't have a contract anymore. Okay? Make sure the seller knows what the contract says. Not only does the seller need to know what the listing agreement says, but the seller needs to have a full awareness, full cognitive conception of the purchase contract. Because the more informed the seller is, the easier your job is as a listing agent. And the easier it is to negotiate through each step of that contract. Okay? Any questions on repairs and walkthroughs? Perfect. Put them down in the comments below if you've got questions after this presentation. Let me jump to the next one. Okay. So you've gotten through all of that. You've gotten through the marketing. You've gotten through the contract acceptance. You've gotten through the inspections, the appraisal, the title work. You've gotten through all that. Now, guys, it's all downhill. It is all downhill. The only thing that would stop this deal from closing now is an act of God, lightning burning down the house, tornadoes sucking the house away, or something horrible with the buyer's financing. They lose a job, something happens, the plant shuts down, et cetera, et cetera. So God and then chance are the only things that would stop this thing from closing now. But you still have to be a salesman. You still have to be a saleswoman. You're never like I don't like Hollywood personally, but I don't know Hollywood, like I don't visit it. But like that guy Alec Baldwin said, always be closing. ABCs, always be closing. That's true as a salesman. That's true. You never take off the closing hat. When they move out, when that seller moves out, you better make sure that house is vacuumed and swept up and dusted. Don't let that house be dirty for the final walkthrough as a listing agent. If you're like, that's not my job, guys, check that attitude. Get rid of that attitude. You're getting a lot of money to help these people with their own personal asset. Send someone over there. Pay someone $150 to go vacuum, dust the house out, and clean the oven. Do it as a listing agent. If they leave the house a day early and you've got the house to yourself, get over there before the final walkthrough and make sure it looks good. Because when that buyer walks in for the final walkthrough, that's how they're getting the house. That is how they're getting the house. Even as a buyer's agent, I carry around an electric vacuum in my car to get there before the final walkthrough as a buyer's agent, and I vacuum and sweep before the final walkthrough if I'm handling the deal, because that buyer needs to walk into that house with the same exact excitement, the same exact enthusiasm, the same exact happy feeling as they did when they walked in, when they chose it over all the other houses for sale. You have to keep that feeling all the way through closing. Okay. So if you're the listing agent and you know they've already moved out early, send someone over there. If you're not available, or if you're available, swing by and check that place and make sure that it's vacuumed, it's swept up, and all the countertops are wiped out. And if the oven needs clean, get a clean crew to clean that oven. Okay. The worst thing in the feeling is having that first family dinner and a dirty oven. Okay. Don't do that to that buyer. Be selling. Be constantly selling. Okay. And then closing, when you meet the seller at closing, you better be there early. You better be looking for them. You better be opening the door for them when they come in. Introduce that seller to the front desk lady. Ask that seller if they want any of the refreshments that are already there that the title company provides. Treat that closing with professionalism. Treat that closing with excitement, and make sure that seller knows and walks away from that closing going, I hired the right guy. I hired the right gal. And then if they walk away from the closing feeling that way, you're going to get referrals. You're going to congratulate them on the sale, thank them so much for their business, and you're going to let them know if any questions come up afterwards to contact you and verify, because you get crazy spam mail in the mail over things that aren't real. But also let that seller know too, now that the closing is over, you can cancel insurance, you can cancel utilities, and make sure everyone that you cancel the insurance with and cancel utilities with have your forwarding address. They need to have your forwarding address, because they're usually going to send you back deposits or your premium. All right, that's it. That's how you rock it on listings, guys. It's really that simple. To go from step A to be a successful listing agent, you just need to know the direction. You just need to know step A to step B, and you need to know how to get there. And that's all this presentation was all about. It is not rocket science. If I could do it, you could totally do it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with other real estate friends, and then also subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. We're going to go into a question and answer here in the auditorium, and I'll see you guys at the top of the hour for the next video.